Our world is focused on technology now more than ever. Think about what you spend your free time doing. There's a pretty good chance this list includes Netflix, social media, online videos, or gaming. Of course, there's nothing wrong with these activities, but now think about everyone who does these things. Millions of people like you, all on the internet consuming videos, pictures, and media. That's a lot of content. In fact, in 1 second on the internet, 71,550 YouTube videos are viewed, 2,854 Skype calls are made, and 63,632 Google searches are conducted. Have you ever thought about how you get these things? ISPs, or Internet Service Providers, control this, as well as how fast you get access, how much you pay, and even what you're allowed to view. Now, imagine how frustrated you become when you're ready to binge watch a series on Netflix. Popcorn, chocolate, everything prepared. But then it won't load. It may seem like a trivial problem, but the delivery and content of internet services actually has a lot of controversy and debate surrounding it. This is where the term net neutrality comes into play. The Federal Communications Commission, a part of the U.S. government that regulates radio, TV, wire, satellite, and cable communications, defines network neutrality as rules that protect your ability to go where you want, when you want, online. Furthermore, providers cannot purposefully slow down speeds for certain apps or services while favoring other internet traffic. This can also be referred to as internet freedom or the open internet. The FCC, the government agency we talked about before, breaks the rule down into 3 parts. Number 1, blocking. ISPs cannot prohibit access to any law-abiding content. Number 2, throttling. They also cannot target certain traffic to be delivered more quickly or slowly than others. And number 3, paid prioritization. Just because an ISP favors a certain company for whatever reason does not mean they can promote their respective content over other people's. Now let's think about this in terms of a real-life situation. A large corporation has super fast internet because they pay their ISP. On the other hand, the average Joe in a coffee shop can't get his emails to load because he doesn't have a special relationship with his provider. Tim Wu, a famous lawyer and writer for the New York Times, makes an important point about the differences between principle and law. Principle refers to the design and idea of something, while law is the actual regulation. In this case, the internet may have been designed without the intent of a need for laws, but in reality, carriers have become interested in discrimination, making laws necessary. The principle of network neutrality is that the internet should be equally accessible to any individual accessing any content. Network neutrality law is the regulation the FCC enforces. For example, when threats occurred to change the regulations in favor of net neutrality, Obama recommended the FCC uphold their laws to preserve neutrality. Now the chairman of FCC, Ajit Pai, is known for being against net neutrality laws and is pushing legislation in that direction. Now that we understand the concept of network neutrality, along with the difference between its principles and laws, let's look at the policy's implications in different areas. First, let's think economically. Net neutrality poses 2 interesting economic situations if it were to be removed. Without the policy, it would be possible for ISPs to create artificial scarcity. This means that even though there's plenty of internet service for everyone, the providers raise the prices to a level that very few people in the market can afford. Secondly, we'll use an example that occurred in 2014. Comcast was blocking the streaming of Netflix. Many people were frustrated, and in the end, Netflix paid Comcast millions of dollars to end the blocking so that users that were paying for streaming and also happened to use Comcast were not blocked. This example shows the strategic blocking ISPs can create for economic gain. The real issue economically comes down to the free market. Is the internet a part of this market and an important part of capitalism? Or is it a dangerous assumption to think regulation isn't needed? Next, let's think politically. We've already talked a little bit about the actions of Obama and now the current situation of FCC leadership. Those in favor of network neutrality, usually more left-leaning, believe that abuses of access, distribution, and privacy will occur naturally without regulation. Those with more conservative views argue that no regulation will encourage innovation, and the profits ISPs make can be put back into infrastructure projects that will improve the services and the internet. Many agree that this should be a bipartisan issue and effort, but of course, with the political climate of late, this isn't the case. Finally, let's think socially. The internet has become such an integral part of life that network neutrality has grown to be a social justice issue. Minorities and marginalized groups use the internet to come together and try to create social change. Many fear that without internet freedom, oppression will occur to those not able to afford services. In the end, it comes down to the question, is access to the web really for everyone? As you can see, network neutrality is a complex and controversial concept, so let's review. Network neutrality is the idea that ISPs provide services to everyone equally. This includes no blocking, throttling, or paid prioritization. The Federal Communications Commission regulates and enforces net neutrality. The controversial issue reaches into economics, politics, and society as a whole. Everyone uses the internet, and as a result, it's important to think about what network neutrality means to you and your life.
Created using Powtoon.